LA Guns has a new album, Black Diamonds, and you guys seem to be doing it kind of old school style by releasing an album every couple of years. Is that intentional, or is that just the way your deal with Frontiers is structured?
A bit of both, actually, to be honest. Old school, as you say, and honestly, we really don't know any other way. It's just it's our thing. You know, me and Tracii, we're children of the 70s. We were big into vinyl, like the same bands, Zeppelin, Sabbath, Deep Purple. So whenever we sit down and decide to work on something, it's invariably an album. Unless it's like a one-off thing, like a Christmas song or a tribute or something. We just think in albums. Because, you know, this band it's so multifaceted. There's so many. When you listen to an album like this one, like Black Diamonds, it's got everything. You know, it's got you know, like your balls out screaming metal. It's got your big cheesy choruses. It's got tons of Zeppelin, but that's not surprising. And also, yes, I do believe that there is some kind of deal structure going on with Frontiers. Tracii's locked in with Frontiers. He puts out, I don't know, like half a dozen different projects, apart from our stuff. He's just done one with Todd Kearns, Slash's bass player. He's just done one with Jack Russell. So, yeah, he's always got some sort of deal going. I'm not on the record deal. The record deal was all sorted before the reunion. It was something that he was locked into. And it's not, you know, like I don't benefit from it because I do. I'm just not on the contract. And I kind of like to keep it that way at this stage. You know, we're 5 years into this reunion and it's all sort of worked out well so far. So I don't see any reason to rock the boat.
Most of the time nowadays, even for people who are selling big numbers, it's not that lucrative as far as most of
the... No, there's no money in it at all. That's a bit on the advance. And the way to do it, and the way he does it, is he'll get a budget for a record. He'll make the record and hopefully not use all the budget and have a little left over for himself. Strikes me as being the smart sort of producer's way of doing it. He may as well. He's sitting there playing his guitar 6 hours a day anyway. He's always writing songs. He's got songs for everyone, and that's just his niche. You know, that's what he does best, and he's enjoying himself. And I think the word prolific has to be bandied around here because he certainly is. And he's just, you know, he's got great ideas of his own. He's real good at piecing together various parts. He's self-taught. He just knows the songs instinctively. That he grew up listening to every Zeppelin song. He knows them all. And he just sort of mixes it up. And he goes, oh, here's a Zeppelin. I might throw a bit of Sabbath in here. And it's fun to watch him. It really is. He just goes on these sort of musical journeys. What I like about Tracii, what I like about his playing is, what I like more now than say like in the early days is his style. He's a lot cooler now. In the early days, I can't stand guitar players that treat it like it's some sort of exercise of dexterity or like who can play the fastest, or, you know, it's just, it's so, unless you're a guitar player, that's really fucking boring. And he's never, ever, ever boring. He used to be a little bit smug about it, but now it's all cool.
Has he always been very prolific in bringing ideas just constantly?
He's just got himself involved in these writing projects, and he's just basically rising to it. And in my opinion, he's doing it very well. The stuff's sounding really good.
But was he like that back in LA Guns, like the early days? Was he constantly...
No, it was very, very different. He really wasn't that much of a songwriter, actually. As I said, he was more, he wanted to be more the dexterous. He just wanted to be the fastest, loudest, swankiest. And he had songs, he had good songs, but they were very different from the songs we're coming up with now. They were more really, you know, in the... sort of New York Dolls, sort of Johnny Thunders ideology, whereas now he can do everything. No, it wasn't that important. And the thing is, the writing was a big pissing contest as well back then. because it was like, oh, I've got three of my songs are on this record. Oh, I've got 5. Oh, I've got 9. And there's none of that now. I want him to do all the music for his songs. I can write songs. I've written great songs. I've written songs I'm incredibly proud of. But honestly, he's on such a roll right now. I just want him to play the stuff that he's happy writing and playing. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I wrote Over the Edge, and it's do, do, do. And it's a dirgy, stodgy song, and he loves it. And what he brings to the song is amazing. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a funeral dirge. Whereas you got a song like the opening song up from Checkered Past, like Cannonball. It's just the look on his face, and he just that just livens him up for the night. We come out and we just smash it with that song every night. And we used to open with Over the Edge, and that just is so fucking boring. Even as its author, I've got to say that I like going with what he's coming up with right now because it's good and he's enjoying himself.
I always thought it would be a cool thing if you're in a band, regardless of the financial situation. It would, like, to get to the end of your life, you've released all these records. And I understand for some people, they've already done a bunch, but people like, let's say, Paul Stanley or Gene Simmons, and how they've been like, we're not releasing any new shit because it's not worth it financially. And you just think, well, you're a musician and you've written songs. I mean, I'm assuming even like the hired guns in the band are rich by now. And it just seems like, wouldn't it be cool to just go in and you don't even have to worry about finances?
No, it's not easy. It's hard, and it's easy to fuck it up. I imagine a lot of guys that resting on their laurels think to themselves, what's the point? It's never going to sell well. It's not going to make any difference. And in many ways, they're right. But life is short, and art is forever. And I'm really incredibly proud of the music that I've made that hasn't not made mine, but hasn't changed my life. Like the songs, the music that has changed my life. But yeah, I'm proud of that as well. But I think I'm a lot more proud of what we're doing now than what we did back then. Just because we're better at it.
I couldn't find it again, but I thought I came across something a month or so ago where either you said or Tracii said that you thought maybe this was it, or you thought about quitting.
No, and certainly not. And here's the thing: making this record, making this Black Diamonds, was a lot of fun, and it was just completely different from the making of the record before it, the making of Checkered Past, which we recorded. We wrote, recorded, and produced during pandemic. So we all did it remotely. And at no point were we ever in the same room with each other. Imagine that, writing an album, recording an album, and at no point were we ever in the same room. Lots of big file exchanges, and everybody me turning my house into a vocal studio. Basically, all you need is a laptop and an interface. And we did it, and I'm incredibly proud we did it. I'm incredibly proud of how well it sounds, but I'm real proud of myself technically for engineering all my vocals, and my big steep learning curve was the file exchange. I haven't done that in a long, long time, and it took a while, but yeah, it turned out great. Now, this one was just completely opposite. We're on tour with Kiefer. We're having the time of our lives. We're on a tour bus. We've got a day off. So we busted out the laptop and the interface, and we were recording guitars and bass for this album on the road, on tour. And it really was, it just felt so fucking good to be with my mates, to be in the same spot, same place, and like cooking. Us guys standing around, we were like cooking. And it was joy at times to have that, and I was there to watch them track guitars and bass. Normally I'm not, and then when that's all done, it's all recorded, they're all happy with it, then it's they send everything to New York. I fly out to New York and I start recording with Mitch Davis.
You mean you start your vocals, or you said you do them at home, right?
No, well, I did the last one. I did Checkered Past at home, but all the others I've recorded in New York with Mitch Davis.
Do you like to kind of roll through the whole song and then comp from there, or do you like to?
Exactly. There's other ways of doing it, certain ways of doing it. If it's a tricky part, I'll just focus on the part that we want to sort out. But for the most part, I'll know the song well enough to be able to give it 2 or 3 good run-throughs and leave it with Mitch to pick out the best comps. And he's really, really good at that. He's really good with vocal effects. He's a vocalist. He's a jingle writer. He works for a lot of ad agencies. You've heard his stuff on TV all the time. He's a metal guy, but his bread and butter is sort of corporate advertising. He's got this great setup, Central Manhattan. And it's just such a thrill working with him and going to New York and just getting wrapped up in that whole vibe. And it was great. It was maybe the most fun album I can remember making in a very, very long time because we were free. We were out, finally. The plague was over. And we were out traveling. We were out in the same place together. And I got a chance to go to New York and work with Mitch. So I'm not about to say, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that again. Of course not. Are we going to be able to come up with 10 or 11 songs on our head? Yeah, we could do that by the end of the month if we had to. Why end at 4? I see a 5. 5's it's not a round number for it, but 5 for me is a nice way to cap it. And I honestly believe that we've got at least one more in us. And bring it. I look forward to it.
Is there like a vocal kind of setup in the studio that you've preferred over the years, a favorite microphone or a preamp, or are you into that at all?
Well, I mean, the 2 differences were recording at my house, and I've got a decent, it's a Shure SM10, I think it is. It's just about as fancy a dynamic mic as you can get, but just a regular interface. A little Focusrite Scarlett and nothing fair, just a Dell. And that worked. And as long as the signal was clear enough for Mitch to be able to do something with it. But when I'm with Mitch, God only knows what microphone he's going to stick in front of me. Some Chinese thing from the 1930s, the size of a jukebox. He's got so much cool stuff, or weird little pencil shotgun mic or something, and he'll go, okay, we'll do a couple of takes with this mic, and then we'll do one with another mic, and it's just incredible the way that he stitches it all together, his knowledge of it and his patience. And I'll go out, I'll have a cup of coffee, and after I've done a few takes, and come back in like an hour or so later, and it blows my mind what a great vocal producer he is. And he, of course, big part of the writing too. And as I said, he's a jingle guy. So everything has to be sort of sharp and mean something. And, no wasteful lyrics, no lie. I've learned so much from him, from his style, from the way that he writes. He knows me. He knows my abilities, my voice, what I'm going to be good at. It's a terrific team. And while we're on it, I give Adam Hamilton credit for laying down some amazing drums. It starts with Adam. It starts with Tracii. A couple of songs. Actually, there is one song that did start with Adam. Imagine that. A drummer writing a song, and there's no guitars or nothing. It's just a drum pattern that he's got, and he's that good. And he goes, check this out. And he sent it to Tracii. Tracii knocked up something in 15 minutes. I can't remember what song it is, but it's on the record. But for the most part, Tracii will come up with a riff, use his garage band and a simple drum machine, and then send it over to Adam. And then Adam will take it and add the drums. And we got Johnny comes in and puts bass down. And Johnny's a writer too. Johnny's brought in songs, and so is Ace. In fact, my favorite song on the record was written by Ace. So it's very democratic, and I think everyone's real happy. But as I said, no one's delusional. No one thinks that this is the one that's going to make us millions. This is going to change our lifestyle. No, I'm not that naive. But I'm still naive. I still have that boyish enthusiasm that I have at the release of every record. And I really do feel, and I'm not just saying, I think this one is the best we've ever done. And I think it's going to change. It's going to change people's perception of this band. And if we can do that, then that's mission accomplished.
I interviewed Jim Tracii, who recorded the first album.
Oh, wow. That's a name from the past.
Yeah. And I actually did. I've interviewed him a few times, but I interviewed him on one of them where we just focused on the LA Guns album because I was just a huge fan of it. So we get kind of nerdy on the, like, what he used.
God. What was the name? Broccoli was the engineer as well at that time. A really, really nice guy was Jim's assistant. And I remember those days very, very well. I don't, to be honestly, really remember them terribly fondly. It was, for me, it didn't make sense that a band like LA Guns was recording in the same studio as Bernie Taupin and Fleetwood Mac. The Village Recorder wasn't where we should have been in Joe's basement with a 16-track. But because we were so wrapped up in that whole corporate sausage machine at that point, which Jim was a big, big part of, that was it. And there was a lot of money.
He's coming from the Ratt record, so he's doing Ratt. And I think Ratt recorded all their albums, or at least a majority of those early ones at Village Recorder, I believe.
Yeah, sure. It makes sense for them, but it just felt too posh for me. And I think of all the trouble we went to make that album sound dirty because it's such a clean studio. I just think we would have been a lot better off doing it. But they didn't have those kind of studios. And the label, Bob Scorrow, would have scoffed us out the room at the suggestion of that. But I just find it a little polished. I'm not sure, next time you speak to Jim, whether the congas on No Mercy were really necessary. No Mercy. If you listen to it, turn it up loud, you can hear goddamn congas. We're sitting around, well, what else can we put in it? What else can we do? What else? Yeah, a little overindulgent, but still, I'm incredibly proud of it. And when you brought up his name, I certainly put a smile on my face. He was Bob Scorrow's buddy, and as you say, he was involved in the Ratt stuff, and yes, LA Guns are part of that sausage machine. The Bon Jovi, the Cinderella, the Poison, Def Leppard. We were the next batch. That's how we ended up going through the same conveyor belt, I guess.
He, of course, talked very highly of everybody, but he mentioned something like too many cooks in the kitchen. And of course, he'd always say it in a nice way. But I got the feeling like it was maybe Mick was very opinionated. And I wondered with Kelly Nichols and Steve Riley's band, why he isn't in your band, or is that not wanting too many cooks in the kitchen, or is that?
Well, yeah, I did mention a little earlier about, I've got 3 songs, I got 4 songs on the record. There was a lot of that crap. And yeah, Mick and Kelly were very aggressive in their ideas, their choices, and their contributions. When I joined it, it was very much a democratic band. And then when Nicky quit, and then we got Riley, was somebody else that was just so incredibly opinionated, it really, really became a fucking nightmare. Because we got these 5 guys with all different ideas, and then you've got your producer, and then you've got the guy at the record company, and then you've got your manager, and all these people are pulling you in different directions. No, don't do that. Do this. You should do it this. No. Now my song's better because this one's in the key of B, and all the others, they're all in E, and that gets boring. And it's like really stupid shit like that. And that was in abundance, and that's gone. And no, that would never, ever go back to that. There was a time when at the beginning of the reunion, we reached out to Kelly and invited him to be involved, but he didn't want to do it. He didn't like the direction we were going. He wasn't really enthusiastic about it at all. But he was offered. There's nothing we can do about poor old Steve. I've spent a lot of time with Steve Riley. I've been in the trenches with him. We've had some good times. We've had some really tough times. I think of him as a road brother. I can't think of him as a friend because we never once had dinner. He never said, "Oh, it's Friday, come over," and I've never hung with him. So I really don't know what he's like, and that's pretty amazing for somebody that you've been playing with for that long. I know Tracii like the back of my hand, but somebody like Steve Riley is just so incredibly elusive. But yeah, I mean, when you listen to the drums on The Missing Piece, and you listen to Shane Fitzgibbon fucking laying it down thick, you have to ask yourself, could Riley do that? Is he physically capable of playing like that? And the answer is probably not. And that's no slight. It is the way it is. Lots of people are getting old, and it's a lot more challenging. So I honestly don't think that physically Steve would be up to it. And I don't think Mick's really interested in anything other than a weekend gig and getting drunk on English beer. And I mean that in the kindest way, of course. I got no hard feelings. I'm not sore, not bitter about anything for those guys. I get why they did it, and it was when you do things, when you do everything for the wrong reason, inevitably it's going to go wrong, and it did. It's gone tits up, and it's no threat to us, and they're just part of our history, and I'm glad that it is part of our history and not part of our present.
But with Riley, you guys stuck it out so long,
yeah, I know.
and through hard
we did.
times.
You know, he's real good. I mean, you know, he's good at keeping it rolling. He was good at maintaining a relationship with an agent and getting us out on doing these like weekend casinos and rib fests and you name it. We were playing with the usual suspects, you know, us, Warrant, Firehouse, and Slaughter. And there was nothing wrong with it. It was a little boring, to be honest, because it was so repetitive. And we were in such a shitty slot. If we were lucky, we'd get 45 minutes. And travel all the way to Wisconsin to play 45 minutes is a bit ridiculous. So now, you know, I really feel that we don't have to do that. We play on our own terms. We play as long as we want, play the songs we want. We don't play with those guys. And that's not because we think we're better or anything. We just feel that we'd much rather do our own thing. If the county fair wants us, that's great. You bet we'll do it. But we're doing all right. We really, really are doing fine. We had an incredible summer tour. The response from the music has been amazing. So, yeah, we're all right.